Good morning, whole class.
Yeah.
How do you feel right now?
Yeah.
Sleepy? Hungry? Or something else?
Great.
I hope that however you feel, you will pay concentration to my presentation today. Before we start, I start my presentation, I have a question for all of you here. How many people are there in this morning have checked your social media before going to class today? Please raise your hand. Who? How many? Okay. Thank you. So the topic today I will share with you is does how social media change our habit? And I am Thanh from K67ENGA. So here's what we will cover today. This is the way we communicate, the news and information flow from shopping to scrolling. And I have one interesting point that to prove that our brain are changing because of the social media. And the last one is my conclusion. Let's go to the first part. Okay, when you see this picture, can you tell me how can you say from when take a look at this picture?
When I look at this picture, I think we have two types of communication, face-to-face conversations and online conversation like through smartphones.
Thank you for your answer. That's right. We have two types of the communication way, but the traditional way, like the face-to-face conversation, is changing from it to the call and text messenger, and now it's like a constant messenger from every online platform like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Yeah, and we have one more thing that the language of the digital communication is replacing by something listing like emoji, GIF, or memes like this, and it may cause the problem that we are lacking the ability to express our emotion and body language. So this one is a new information growth. Nowadays, as you can see that we are no longer depend on the traditional ways like newspaper or some news channel on TV, right? And now we prefer the way we scrolling endlessly from every social media platform, and it's caused the result that information, both verified and unverified information, can have a chance to travel at the unimagination speed by just one click of a share button. So from this we have to state the fact that we have the challenge of misinformation. The next one is social media changing the way we're shopping. I have one question that have you ever buy something on the internet and then you feel regret for buying it?
Yeah.
Yes. I can hear something here because nowadays sometimes our decision in buying something that don't depend on our need, that don't depend on like we have to ask ourselves that do I really need it or it is still good for my life, and sometimes it depends on the review of the influencer on the internet, right? So, and do you see the scary thing that sometimes, like, just the product you think about or talk about, and then you go on to the social media and it show immediately on your screen? Yeah, sometimes all the time I just think about the shirt I want to buy, and it's just on my phone, and then they show immediately in my Instagram account. thing I want to prove to you is our brain are changing. Here's why. I will show you a YouTube video from 2014.
With social media sites being used by 1/3 of the entire world, it really has major influence on society. But what about our bodies? Here are 5 crazy ways that social media and the internet are affecting your brain right now. Can't log off? Surprisingly, 5 to 10% of internet users are actually unable to control how much time they spend online. Though it's a psychological addiction as opposed to a substance addiction, brain scans of these people actually show a similar impairment of regions that those with drug dependence have. Specifically, there's a clear degradation of white matter in the regions that control emotional processing, attention, and decision-making. Because social media provides immediate rewards with very little effort required, your brain begins to rewire itself, making you desire these stimulations. And you begin to create more of this neurological excitement after each interaction. Sounds a little like a drug, right? We also see a shift when looking at multitasking. You might think that those who use social media or constantly switch between work and websites are better at multitasking, but studies have found that when comparing heavy media users to others, they perform much worse during task switching tests. Increased multitasking online reduces your brain's ability to filter out interferences and can even make it harder for your brain to commit information to memory. Like when your phone buzzes in the middle of productive work. Or wait, did it even buzz? Phantom vibration syndrome is a relatively new psychological phenomenon where you think you felt your phone go off, but it didn't. In one study, 89% of test subjects said they experienced this at least once every 2 weeks. It would seem that our brains now perceive an itch as an actual vibration from our phone. As crazy as it seems, technology has begun to rewire our nervous system, and our brains are being triggered in a way they never have before in history. Social media also triggers a release of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. Using MRI scans, scientists found that the reward centers in people's brains are much more active when they're talking about their own views as opposed to listening to others. Not so surprising, we all love talking about ourselves, right? But it turns out that about 30 to 40% of face-to-face conversations involve communicating our own experiences. Around 80% of social media communication is self-involved. The same part of your brain related to orgasms, motivation, and love are stimulated by your social media use, and even more so when you know you have an audience. Our body is physiologically rewarding us for talking about ourselves online. But it's not all so self-involved. In fact, studies on relationships have found that partners tend to like each other more if they meet for the first time online rather than with a face-to-face interaction. Whether it's because people are more anonymous or perhaps more clear about their future goals, there's a statistical increase in successful partnerships that started online. So while the internet has changed our verbal communication with increased physical separation, perhaps the ones